So this means that things with the mask we are wearing, mask in the sense of our public image, and the relation between this and what is behind the mask is much more complicated than when it may appear. It's not that mask is just a mask, but beneath you can see, let's say I am a Nazi, and if I were to be Hitler and would be caught today, I don't know, mega old and accused, I would have said, but you only see me as a public figure. Didn't you know how I stroke cats, I play with children, my God, I'm a warm human person, and so on and so on. And there is only one answer to this. No, it's not that your public mask masks the real person behind. What you construct as a real person behind, you construct it in order to obfuscate and render tolerable to yourself the horrors you are doing in your public role. Our private inner truth is the true mask. This is how I would like to propose you to read a slightly brutal experiment that you can perform on your child. I may be a crazy father, I did it to my child when he was small. I approached him with the mask on, and of course, he got frightened. Then I pulled the mask off, and he saw my stupid face, which was well known to him, and he smiled a little bit. Then, now comes the mystery. Then I put the mask on again, and the mystery is that he was terrified again, although he knew very well behind the mask is just my stupid dad. But no, he was terrified again. And I think he was right, since the mask engenders a third reality, a ghost in the mask, which is not the reality of the face hidden beneath it. This ghost in the mask, this X the child is afraid of, is precisely the abyss of pure subject, not to be confused with personality and so on. This is also the reason why, that's how I read, how do you call it in English? I don't know, in French they call it burqa, this cover of Muslim women. This is why wearing a burqa is so unbearable for some of us in the West. Not because the face remains hidden, so that we don't know with whom we are dealing, but because we, in a way, see the void behind the naked face, this ultimate mask. When, in 2010, the French government prohibited wearing a burqa in public, what could not but strike the eye was the ambiguity of those who criticized allowing women wearing a burqa. Their criticism moved at two levels. First, the prohibition of burqa was presented as a defense of the dignity and freedom of the oppressed Muslim women. They claimed it is unacceptable that in secular France, any woman has to live a hidden life, secluded from public space, subordinated to brutal patriarchal authority. However, as a rule, the argument then shifted towards the anxieties of non-Muslim French people. Faces covered by the burqa do not fit the coordinates of French culture and identity. They intimidate and alienate non-Muslims. So some French women have even suggested that they perceive the wearing of a burqa as their own humiliation, an act of being brutally excluded from a social link. And again, this brings us to the true enigma here. Why does the encounter with the face covered by a burqa trigger such anxiety? Is it that a face so covered is no longer this Levinasian face, the otherness from which an unconditional ethical call emanates, this ultimate ethical agency? I think the opposite is true. From a Freudian perspective, the face itself is the ultimate mask that conceals the horror of what in Judeo-Christian tradition is called neighbor, which is precisely the terrifying other, the abyss of the other for whom we don't know what he or she wants. The face is what makes the neighbor le semblable, a fellow man, with whom we can identify, empathize. Not to mention the fact that today so many faces are surgically modified that they are mostly deprived of the last vestige of personal authenticity. This then is why I claim covered face causes such anxiety. It confronts us directly with the neighbor in its uncanny dimension. The very covering up of the face obliterates a protective shield so that the other neighbor stares at me directly. Recall that the burqa has a narrow slit for the eyes. We don't see the eyes, but we know there is a gaze there. Alphonse Allais, the French satirical writer, presented his own version of Salome's dance of 7 whales. When Salome is completely naked, Herod shouts, go on, expecting her to take off also the veil of her skin. We should imagine something similar with a woman wearing a burqa. It's the opposite of a woman removing her burqa to reveal her face. We should imagine a woman taking off the skin of her face itself so that what we see beneath is precisely the anonymous, dark, smooth, burqa-like surface with a narrow slit for the gaze. You see my point? I think what you see with the covered face is precisely a totally naked woman when the face as the ultimate mask is taken off. That's why it's so horrible.